So we're in the hands of the judges for Ant Judge. We'll be counting down in a couple of minutes. So Ant Judge has got now 3 minutes before we get underway. Ant Judge being the final swimmer of today, and comes from Sydney. He is representing Sydney Freedivers. So he's wearing a orca suit. He'll be wearing a nose clip, goggles, hat, swimming cap, and Ant carries a lot of lead weight around his neck. So he'll have probably around 5, maybe even 6 kilograms of lead around his neck alone, and then he'll also wear a weight belt. We'll probably put on about 1.5 kg around his waist as well. It's because Ant has particularly large lungs. He can put in a lot of air, and in this discipline you'll notice that Ant's a bit of a specialist in no fins. Really great technique to watch just to see how he glides and just how far Ant will glide on every single kick stroke, pull through the water. It's really something to watch. We're about 2 minutes away from a start for Ant Judge, the final swimmer for the competition. The competition finalises today with this swim in the dynamic no fins. 2 minutes for Ant Judge. And Ant Judge underway in the dynamic no fins, the final swim for today. Gets off to a great start, nice and comfortable. Boy, the tension before a diver like this leaves is quite high. You can get very nervous before an event like this. And Ant looking very calm and composed as he left the surface for the start of this swim. He's moving pretty fast through the water. For a dynamic no fins, that's a smoking fast first lap. He's already on his way back towards the 50. Packed, I counted 16 packs, so Ant is putting a lot of air into the chest there. Normally when athletes do that, they typically I've noticed that they swim relatively slow and treat it like a big, slow static. Ant, however, is trying to combine the best of both, putting in a lot of air and doing a nice fast-paced swim. He's touched at 50 meters, heading back to the middle of the pool. Looks like he's got about 1 kilogram of lead weight on either side of his weight belt just to keep him balanced. Having had the privilege of training with Ant Judge a lot, I've seen him swim no fins plenty of times, and it looks to be like he's going a little bit quicker than he'd normally go. He's already just touched there at 75 meters. Sometimes we swim faster if we're a little nervous or if it's getting really uncomfortable. Hard to know what's happening for Ant in his mind at the moment, but he's still not rushing. His arm strokes look nice and comfortable, good streamlining, really solid technique. He's coming up now for the touch at 100 meters.
Touch 100.
Ant Judge from Sydney Freedivers, Australia. One of the top male athletes in the country at the moment. Certainly one who's in form at the moment, training hard at Sydney Freedivers, and a massive advocate for the sport. Someone who really has been in the sport a long time. I think he's been in the sport nearly 14 years and has really contributed massively to the expansion of freediving as a sport throughout Australia. He's a certified instructor with Apnea Australia and is available for running courses all around Australia. He's now on the surface. Nice strong quick breath off the surface. And through his surface protocol, looking absolutely fine. Did notice that he came up on the lane rope and the lane rope sunk there, so the judges have to be noticing carefully on whether or not his airways have gone back under after he surfaced. If they have, he'll be in the same kettle of fish as I was and getting disqualified over a technicality at the end of the swim, but hopefully it's a white card performance. The judges seem to be happy so far, there's smiles all around, so, and I see white cards. Oh, it's a white card performance for a judge. Looks to me about a 1:36. It could be 1:36. 5 minutes past the nominated distance. Congratulations, Ant Judge. What a fantastic swim to finish the competition with. Huge thank you to Apnea Australia for sponsoring this event. Apnea Australia with Airs Beaters, providers of freediving education and training across Australia. They run amazing trips in Tonga, where you get to dive. Not only do you get to train freediving, but you also get to experience what it's like to swim with humpback whales and large turtles. If you're interested in finding out more about freediving and you live here in Australia, then by all means you want to get hold of Airs Beaters from Apnea Australia. A huge thank you to the Australian Freediving Association, the AFA. They're our governing body for Australia and just provide such a huge amount in promoting the sport and providing the resources that sit behind everything that takes place in order for a competition like this to occur. So a huge thank you to the AFA and to the great people who volunteer their time free of charge in order to run the Australian Freediving Association for us. So we've got Ant Judge coming out now with a very large grin on his face, and he's good for an interview at any time of the day. So firstly, congratulations, Ant Judge, on a fantastic swim. Nominated 1:32, final distance at 1:37. How was the swim for you?
Yeah, it was actually really nice. It was a pretty cruisy swim. Realistically, I wanted to put a much bigger number down, but you did take the pressure way off me this morning. So I'm happy with the swim. It was a cruisy swim. I didn't really bust it hardcore, but yeah, like it felt good. It actually, like, such a nice pool. It's warm, it's comfortable.
A lot of the athletes have been saying that today, is that they just felt so comfortable through their swim. It's a combination of the warm pool water, the warm ambient air temperature, and just the relaxed atmosphere of a very supportive crowd of fellow freedivers. Having trained with you a lot, one of the things I picked up is it looked to me like you were certainly the fastest swimmer of today. Did it feel like you were going quicker than you normally swim, or was that about your pace?
It's about my pace. Look, over the last year, I've done a lot of technique work and a lot of kick work. And realistically, I was 2.5 strokes for the first probably 3 laps or something like that. And then I started throwing an extra 1 stroke in, so that's 3 strokes all up. Like 2 or 3 arms, 3 legs. So. Realistically, it was the right amount of kicks and right amount of strokes, but I felt like I was going fast, felt like I was moving still,
And of all the athletes today, it certainly looked like you had the most amount of leg weight on you. So what was your strategy around what you were wearing and how much weight you placed on today?
Basically, I drink a lot of beer, and pretty much to compensate the beer intake and a bit of a gut, I have to wear a fair bit of lead.
Oh, yeah, okay, so that's the secret. If you're going to drink beer, you got to put a lot of extra lead weight to hold you down.
Wetsuit to hold myself in.
Okay, now let's talk about the truth. So the truth is that you actually got these enormous lungs, and so you put a lot of air in. We know I counted 16 packs before you left the surface.
Yeah.
So It's interesting, right? You're putting a lot of air, keeping a lot of air in reserve there. So your strategy was putting a lot of air, but weight up, so that you're still kind of neutral in the water. Is that the plan?
Like realistically, I want to be very neutral in the water. Maybe ever so slightly floaty. I was probably ever so slightly sinky, but at the same time, like if I can get a push off with this much momentum, this much weight behind me, I'm typically going to push off about 13, 14 meters. So
13 or 14 meters? Are you serious from one push?
Well, yeah, it's around about there. Normally, when I start increasing my speed, I get down to about 11. But my first push would probably be 12 meters or something normally.
So, Anne, you've been involved with freediving for, it must be over 14 years now. You've been someone who's been instrumental in the growth of the sport throughout Australia. You're based with Sydney Freedivers, obviously up on the northern beaches of Sydney. What do you see here over the weekend insofar as the progression of the sport, the calibre of the athletes coming through?
Actually, it's unbelievable considering this is a small comp and we've only got a handful of what Australia's really got to offer. The amount of swims up in the 150 area and above, and just the average quality is unbelievable. Like back in the day, like 10 years ago, we might have one in a comp that would turn up and bust a big number like that. And now it's kind of like whatever's happening with the training and just the actual club feeding the information back into its members. It's amazing. We turn up at a competition like this and average swims are high. They're actually all high from the guys that haven't been competing a long time. So it is really, really good. It's exciting to see in Australia. And I think Australia's got a lot to offer. We just kind of need to get off our butts a bit and start turning up in the world circuit and doing the big events. So look out next year.
So would you like to see more people involved in this sport?
Oh, totally. It's such a cool sport. I mean, not just the pool's the hard work one. I mean, it's still fun. I mean, it's fun to be around all my mates and come up here and dive, have a swim with all these guys. But the sport of freediving in general, it's just such an amazing sport. I mean, every year I travel to Hawaii and train over there and do a competition over there, and I travel to New Zealand and did a competition there this year. And to get to travel around and do your sport, even on a recreational level, it's not professional at all. It's just for fun. It's just such a cool thing to do.
Well, it's interesting you say that because yesterday I know that there were some people dialing in and listening to us from Hawaii. Yeah. If they're online listening to us today, you got any words for those guys? Because you probably know them pretty well.
Oh yeah, aloha bros. Yeah, big Sharkers for you all. It's it's good that you guys are tuning in yesterday. It was unreal to see my mug on TV in Hawaii with a beer hanging out of my mouth.
It sounds like a bit of Photoshop action happening there in Hawaii.
Yeah, well, they're not that clever over there. It's really just the TV with someone holding a beer to my mouth and then a photo. So
no Photoshop needed.
It wasn't Photoshop, nah. And realistically, I don't have to Photoshop a beer in my hand often. So,
and what's next for you? Actually, there's two questions I have for you left. So one is what's next for you, and secondly, why? After 14 years, why are you still doing this sport? Answer the first one. What's next for you coming? Is it another trip back to Hawaii?
Yeah, I think that's my plan. Is I want to spend some serious time getting into the sport now. I love it, and I still work my day job, which is really hard. But I really want to start putting more into it. I want to start teaching a lot more and doing a lot more coaching. So I'm definitely going to Hawaii or another big comp somewhere. Looks like Australia is going to be putting a good depth competition together next year, which will be unreal.
Oh, that sounds good.
It will be good. Yeah, it'll be a good comp. It's be like a holiday and a competition. So yeah.
Thank you, and tell us, just for you personally, what draws you to the sport? What keeps you in the sport after 14 years? So passionate after all this time.
Well, I've always had a mad affinity with the water, and this is fun. But when you hop in the water and you no longer have to really think about that you're holding your breath and it's a struggle, or you have to go back to the surface often in the ocean, that's when it becomes amazing. Like every year I go dive for whales and dolphins, and not to be worried about my own breath hold, and just know that I'm comfortable for a long period. It's unreal. It's just such a good feeling.
Well, and Judge, congratulations on what is the unofficial winner of the Curtis Coast Freediving Challenge, with 3 absolutely outstanding performances across 2 days. You certainly are the standout athlete of the 2 days, so congratulations.
I think I was just very lucky. I was very lucky to beat Amber. She normally whoops me, and you as well, mate. So I just really come up here to keep Amber honest every now and then.
Yeah, it's always hard when it's always close between the guys at the top, and can go any way on the day. And it's great to see you having put in the effort to come away with the win. So congrats.
Thanks a lot, Ant. Cheers.
All right, so let's see who else we can hit up. I'm going to I want to speak to someone from Australian Freediving Association, because really they govern the sport in this country, and it'd be interesting just to get a few words from them around the development of the sport and what their view is on when we're running events like this across Australia, because they're so pivotal to, I guess, giving people a yardstick on how am I tracking in the sport, how am I progressing, and can I compare myself against some others in a really supportive environment. So give me a minute, I'm going to go pull someone into an interview.